Have you ever felt completely invisible in a room full of people? Like everyone is sharing a secret, and you're the only one who doesn't understand the language? That was me at a beautiful wedding in Denmark, ready to give up on English. But then I overheard a conversation that changed everything. This is the story of the family secret that forced me to truly listen, and how it unlocked my ability to understand and speak English naturally. The invitation. It all started with a cream-colored envelope, thick and expensive. The paper felt heavy in my hands, a physical weight that promised something significant. Inside was an invitation to my cousin's wedding in Denmark. The script was elegant, the words simple. You are cordially invited. But for me it felt like a final exam for my English skills. My heart did a little flip, a mix of excitement and pure terror. You see, my family moved away from Denmark when I was a child. My Danish was childish and my English was a mess of textbook phrases and terrible pronunciation. I could read the invitation, but the thought of having to speak and understand real flowing conversations for an entire weekend was paralyzing. My brain immediately started its favorite anxious game. What if they're all fluent? What if you just stand there silent, a statue of social failure? I almost said no. I almost made an excuse. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe a sense of family duty, pushed me to book the flight. I packed my bags, my best dress, and a mountain of insecurity. I was walking into one of the most beautiful events of my life, completely unprepared for the linguistic and emotional journey that awaited me. The plane touched down in Copenhagen, and the moment I stepped into the airport, the chorus of Danish and perfect English around me felt like a wall. A beautiful, impenetrable wall. And I was on the wrong side of it. The wall of sound. The wedding venue was a picturesque old manor house, all ivy and warm golden stone. But for me it was a fortress of sound. The first hour was a sensory overload. Laughter, clinking glasses, and the melodic rapid-fire flow of Danish and English swirled around me like a chaotic symphony where I couldn't find the melody. I smiled, I nodded. I mastered the art of the non-committal. Oh, really? And that's nice. But inside I was drowning. My brain was working overtime trying to translate every snippet of conversation, but it was like trying to catch smoke with my bare hands. Sentences would start clearly, then dissolve into a blur of unfamiliar sounds. I remember one man telling a long animated story, and everyone burst into laughter. I laughed too, a beat too late, my face aching from the forced smile. In that moment, surrounded by 100 happy people, I have never felt more alone. It's a specific kind of loneliness, the one that comes from being physically present but mentally a world away. I found a quiet corner, pretending to be fascinated by a painting, just to give my racing mind a break. This was the wall. Not a wall of brick, but a wall of sound and connection that I couldn't scale. And it was in this quiet corner that I first heard my name, spoken in a hushed, serious tone from the next room. The words that followed were a jumble, but one phrase cut through the noise clear as day. We decided never to tell her. An unexpected teacher. My heart hammered in my chest. Tell who? Tell me? The shock was like a bucket of cold water, jolting me out of my self-pity. Suddenly, my failed English wasn't about embarrassment anymore. It was a barrier to a truth I needed to understand. Just then, a gentle voice beside me broke through my panic. "It's a bit overwhelming, isn't it?" I turned to see an elderly woman with kind eyes, her smile warm and knowing. It was Astrid, a distant aunt. She saw right through my performative nodding. "The Danish and English all mixed up," she continued, speaking slowly and clearly. "It can sound like a waterfall, too fast to catch any single drop." She didn't mock my silence. Instead, she offered me a glass of water and a simple life-changing question. "Shall we try again?" One sentence at a time. She became my anchor. She would point to the beautiful flower arrangements and say, "The peonies are from the local garden. So vibrant." Then she'd pause, letting the words settle. She wasn't teaching me from a book. She was giving me a key, a real-time translation of the world around me. My motivation shifted instantly. I wasn't just learning to be polite. I was learning to listen, to uncover the secret that hung in the air. Astrid gave me the courage to not just hear the sounds, but to actively seek their meaning. For the first time that day, I wasn't just waiting for the conversation to end. I was willing it to continue. The first real conversation. Later that evening, I found myself sitting with Astrid and a few others in a cozy corner. The pressure to perform was gone, replaced by a burning curiosity. I remembered her lesson about one sentence at a time. A man next to me, a friend of the groom, was talking about his work restoring old wooden boats. Instead of panicking about the entire story, I focused. I caught the word oak. I took a small breath and asked slowly, "The oak? Is it difficult to work with?" He looked surprised, then delighted. "Ah," he said, his voice friendly. "Yes, the oak is very hard. Strong for the sea." He then mimed sanding wood, saying smooth, very smooth. It was a simple exchange, maybe 30 seconds long. But for me it was a revolution. I had initiated a real exchange of information. I had listened, processed, and responded. My pronunciation wasn't perfect, but he understood me. He continued his story, now consciously using simpler words and gestures for my benefit. This is the scientific principle of comprehensible input in action. When you understand the core message, your brain starts subconsciously acquiring the grammar and vocabulary. I wasn't just memorizing, I was acquiring. I was having a real conversation, not as a student but as a participant. And the entire time, a part of my mind was listening, waiting for another clue. Another fragment of the secret that had given me this new powerful reason to understand. The secret revealed. The moment came the next morning, during a quiet breakfast. Astrid was telling me a story about my own mother, from when they were young girls. "She was always the brave one," Astrid said, her voice soft with memory. She was speaking slowly, and for the first time I understood every word without straining. Then she sighed, a little sadly. It is a shame she never pursued the art school in Copenhagen. She was so talented. The family thought it was too risky, an unstable path. We thought we were protecting her. She paused, looking at me intently. We decided it was better not to dwell on it, to let her build a new life abroad. We never told you children to not give you ideas. The world seemed to slow down. This was the secret. Not a scandal but a silenced dream. My mother an artist? I thought of her as a pragmatic accountant her whole life. The protection felt more like a prison. In that moment the final piece of my language barrier crumbled. I wasn't just hearing words. I was understanding a lifetime of unspoken family history. The motivation to learn transformed from a personal goal into a bridge to my own past. I could ask questions. I could understand the nuances of regret and love in Astrid's voice. The English language was no longer a subject. It was the key that had just unlocked a hidden door to my own identity. The practice of presence. Armed with this new deeply personal reason to understand, my entire approach to English shifted. I stopped treating it as a separate study session and began weaving it into the fabric of my daily life. This is what I call the practice of presence. On the flight home, I didn't just watch a movie. I watched it with English subtitles, listening carefully to how the actors connected their words. I'd pause and mimic a short phrase, not worrying about accent but about rhythm. I started changing the language on my phone to English. At first it was frustrating, but that friction was the point. It forced my brain to engage with the language for practical, everyday tasks. I began listening to English podcasts made for learners, the ones that speak clearly about interesting topics. I wouldn't just listen passively. I'd shadow the speaker, repeating sentences aloud a few seconds later, training my mouth to form the sounds. The secret I uncovered gave me a why that was so much bigger than myself. It wasn't about passing a test. It was about being present enough in the language to uncover other hidden stories, other truths I might be missing. Every new word I learned felt like a tool for deeper connection, not just a line on a vocabulary list. A bridge, not a barrier. Slowly, English transformed from a wall into a bridge. I started writing longer emails to Astrid, telling her about my life, and she would write back with more stories about my family. Each email was a small victory, a real conversation that spanned continents. I even mustered the courage to call my mother and ask her, in English, about her art. There was a long silence on the phone. Then she began to speak, her voice soft with a mix of surprise and old nostalgia. She described the smell of oil paints, the weight of a charcoal pencil. We had a conversation we'd never had before, in a language that somehow made it easier to talk about difficult, beautiful things. It was the proof I needed. Language isn't just about grammar. It's about connection. It's about understanding the dreams and the secrets that shape our families and ourselves. My journey didn't make me perfectly fluent overnight. I still make mistakes. But the fear is gone, replaced by curiosity. Every conversation is a chance to learn, not a test to be judged. I found my voice not by shouting but by finally truly listening. And in doing so, I built a bridge to my own history. Your turn to listen. So, what is the secret your own journey is hiding from you? Maybe it's not a family story, but a career opportunity, a deeper friendship, or a book that could change your perspective. Your motivation cannot be a vague, "I should be better." It must be a specific burning, "I need to understand this." Find your this. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Listen to a short story podcast. Read one news article aloud. Shadow one sentence until it feels comfortable in your mouth. Don't focus on the 1,000 words you don't know. Celebrate the 10 you just learned and used. Your brain is wired for connection. You just need to give it a real emotional reason to engage. My journey began with a secret at a wedding in Denmark. Yours begins with the decision to listen, not just to sounds but to the meaning waiting to be discovered. The world is full of stories. You just need to give yourself the tools to hear them. You know, standing there in that Danish garden, holding that secret in my hands, I realized one thing. Some stories choose us, even when we don't choose them. And this was just the beginning. In fact, what happened next was even more unexpected. The secret I discovered that day led me to a small village in the north of Denmark, where I met an 87-year-old woman who taught me the one English phrase that changed everything. That story, the story of the phrase that broke all the rules, is what I'll share in next week's video. But before that, I have a small challenge for you. If this story touched you in any way, do me a favor. Tap that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Why? Because next week's video contains a method I've never shared before. A simple 5-minute daily practice that can literally rewire how your brain processes English sounds. You won't want to miss it. In the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. What's the most unexpected turn your life has taken? What unchosen path has surprised you the most? Share your story. Let's learn English through our shared experiences. Remember, the most beautiful sentences in life often come from the most unexpected stories. Keep listening, keep growing, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you next week.